Okay, so I have just kind of almost finished the interior here. I'm subtracting this last piece, and of course I do need to zoom in so that I can really see the shape. Option clicking after each path segment, and really trying to get the most robust curve out of each possible area. I don't want to just do a bunch of curves out of one that I can take care of, one path segment that I can do in one fell swoop. We'll see how this turns out. You know, I'm sort of analyzing this curve, wondering how that would look. And I'm going to back out now, and let's just look at the finished part of this, at least what we have so far, turning up the opacity, and we have a beautiful dog. So that's the beginning of it. You do want to make sure you have shapes where the legs and the arms, so to speak, and maybe even the ears are standing out. Here I'm looking at this now, considering what it would be like to bring this in and create more of an ear. I think the tail works, but you do have to be careful of things that stick out. They can sometimes not work well. And I can see the path. I can also, if you click on a raster layer like the background, then the path will go away, and you can really just see how gorgeous these shapes, these negative space shapes become. So that's one shape layer. Now just remember that as you build them, whatever is on top is in the front, and whatever is on the bottom is in the back. And then I could now come back in, just so to speak, and work on a patch in the dog. And I would probably do that by just turning off this shape, clicking on the photo layer, and going at it again. And just to kind of show you that, I've got the pen tool, and I might do this in like a light gray or closer to a white. And I might just come in, and I'm going to make this a little bit of a different shape. The nice thing is that you do have the freedom to make any of these shapes that you want. Now let me zoom in around that ear. And this might also help identify that this is the ear if I go around it in white, this kind of thing. And I'm not sure if I'll like it or not. You know, that's the fun part of play is that I don't like to be too attached. I like to just try things. And I think that's really important, an important measure to take is don't feel like your art has to be a masterpiece, because I can just ruin the moment. There's that, and I'm just going to check that out. And this white patch is below the dog, so I've got to drag it up in front and take off the photo layer. And so I'm going to keep going, but just to show you now I've got the ear more defined. And I could add another patch. I kind of want to examine more greyhounds to kind of figure out what kind of markings they have. And then I could then also create the eye. So turning off those shape layers for a moment, I'm going to zoom in on the eye, and I could even create a shape for the highlight in the eye. Oh, it's so cute. Having a cute moment with this dog. It's so darling. I might also outline the eye. It could be, too, if you want to get really into it, you can, you know, become very detailed. And I'm going to, I don't know, I'm just kind of doing it live here. But sometimes I like to, and I'm just analyzing, sorry, I like to sometimes play with outlining, and I'll do that with a shape. Let me show you what I'm doing here. Turn off the photo for a second. That what I want to do is maybe outline the eye, and that'll be one shape, and then I'll do the dark eyeball, and that'll be behind this one, and then add a highlight. So sometimes you can get really intricate with these paths. That's what's happening in here is I'm just trying it. Because the nice thing is you just don't have to worry. You don't have to be attached. If it doesn't work, you know, it's okay. And you know what it is all about is the mileage that it takes to get to try. Trying things is what's important. And if you first don't succeed, just try it again, as the saying goes. I'm just going to move this in a little. So it's being kind of snappy. If that happens, take your snap off under your view menu. Snap, in this case, isn't helpful because it wants to snap to everything, if that ever happens. Let me turn that off, and there that is. And I'm going to bring that up in front of everything and pick a good color for that by looking at the photograph, and that's dark. So sometimes I'll even sample with the eyedropper, the third tool on the right, sample that, and that, I don't know, that's not what I really thought it was. It looks darker, which will happen. I might just come on in and make it up. You can always change it. Oh, I see what I did. You know what I did, which could happen to you, so it's good that it happened to me and not you, is when I made this, I think I was I? Look here. I'm going to just change that to something darker. There we go. Might be too dark. Make sure, what I was going to bring up is that when you're working, if you are in here and you're working with something and you don't realize you're subtracting, then you're actually going to like be cutting the shape out and revealing everything around it. In that case, this didn't happen, but for a moment I thought it did. So remember, when every time you create a shape layer, I do usually double check this and make sure that I'm on combined shapes. Glue layer or combined shapes are what you want usually, and then when you're cutting out, that's when you go to subtract. Just a heads up there. I'm going to back out. And it's coming along. The eye is kind of funny without the eyeball. But as you can see, with a little bit more work, I could have a beautiful greyhound. I might even, you know, add a shape layer here for it to walk on. So in that case, I'll click on the background, Command minus out so that I can see more of this, and even add with the pen tool. Maybe I'll add, you know, just quickly just to show you the horizon. And I'm not even sure I'm going to keep it, but just you can come outside of your image and command to re-edit. And, you know, create some, I'm just trying to create something, I'm not sure what, but some kind of hilly horizon. And so on and so forth. To have it walking on, I'm just kind of goofing off here playing. But that's how you begin to really build something gorgeous. And if you just keep going, you'll get something lovely. So far, that's what we have. I could now find a woman, you know, maybe a vintage kind of picture of a woman, you know, and I could add a leash, and it could just be this beautiful finished product. Now, always make them your own work, and meaning that, you know, take the photograph and work from it. And that's what I have to show you. Now, before we go away, I did want to show you sites of vector art so that you can get inspired. And remember, vector art are flat color builds. You can see here in this royalty-free vector art, which is not free, it just means that these can be sold over and over. that we're looking at some really current kind of designs, like these sticker designs are very current. These label looking designs are very current, and so are ribbons. You've probably seen a lot of banners and ribbons. So that's one example of just gorgeous vector art that you can take a look at. And yeah, just come into vector stock and start looking at. I'm going to type in illustrations just to see if I get anything, which I didn't. But you can begin to see just really cool vector art, cute birds. You know, maybe you want to make a card and you want to kind of build it up, you know, and add some interesting things. Here's more Shutterstock where you can begin to see these really beautiful. Now this has got drop shadows and bevel and emboss added to it, but pick something that you want to do, that you want to create, and be inspired first by looking around and consider, you know, the possibility of selling it. I know one of my friends put a penguin up on iStock and sells this goofy fun penguin, and I don't know, makes $50 every couple months just on one image. So it might be a cupcake or a whole scene. Here's a whole build of, you know, some kind of goofy kids playing, and that might be something you like. And you can see that these shape layer builds can get very complicated. So that's what we have for this week. I sure hope that you've had fun watching and have a good time doing it. Really make them complex. I'd rather have you work on something more complex than just a simple silhouette. I'd like us not to do that. We kind of already did that earlier with selections, but now you know that you can do them also in vector art. But think about a complex build as you are, you know, considering an idea. Here's something more complex, having to do with cooking. Here is the lady, the woman with the dog. And I think that is just so beautiful. You can see really subtle shapes that make shadows in the dog, in the pants, in the purse. These are just shapes that are created in just a subtle color change that makes it look like a shadow. Okay, so those are really slick. I hope you've had fun. First, take a look at what you want to do, and then give us a gorgeous shape layer build with at least 7 shapes. That's really very minimal. Love to see quite a bit more. You could really rack up those shape layers. And thanks a lot for watching.